This is Zipper in the back. This is Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters. And so far, I've only read the first 3 issues. They were all terrible. Really, really awful comics. Some of the worst I've ever read. Back in the 60s and such, Batman was predominantly known for the Adam West TV series, which relied on really fucking goofy... I understand that there's a niche for fans who really like that absurdity, that Silver Age silliness, and that's why the Batman the Brave and the Bold exists, is because there is a place for that. Godzilla has been known mostly for being a B-movie series in the eyes of the American populace, in the eyes of serious movie critics. Batman was the exact same way. Couldn't take it seriously, and then came Dark Knight Returns, then came Tim Burton's Batman, then came 1992 Batman animated series. Those were all excellent. They proved that you could take something very silly and make it very dark and serious. And Godzilla fans have been waiting rather patiently for that to happen. And that's why we were so angry at 1998 Zilla, was because we were expecting it to be The Dark Knight. Okay, The Dark Knight is the ultimate expression of Batman's transition from silliness in the public eye to absolute dark, serious badassosity in the public eye. And we were expecting a full 10 years before The Dark Knight even existed for TriStar's 1998 Godzilla movie to be The Dark Knight. To be an American writer taking Godzilla and making it dark and serious and able to be taken seriously by critics and well-renowned and become well-known in the public eye. That's why we hate it. Because not only was it not that, but it was instead a really bad movie with some really stupid characters, some really stupid lines. Okay, there's a place for Godzilla reboots to not be taken seriously. We've had that. And there was a large and very justifiable fan backlash to that. And very, very vocal fan backlash. And they've had, they've had a long time to know that, to look at Godzilla 1998 and know that it's not what the fans want. The fans want Godzilla to be taken seriously. They should know that. And yes, I know about the Legendary Pictures Godzilla movie. I'm pinning all of my hopes on that movie. I should know better by now, but I am. I mean, I've heard arguments, okay, that this is a dark comedy. That not only should I not look at it from a serious light, but that it shouldn't be held to any kind of standard because it's going for a dark comedic angle. I've already given you more than enough of an explanation for why it should not be a dark comedy in the first place. So the first issue is the most readable one. Your local comic book store can be on the cover of Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters being stomped by Godzilla's foot. That's really clever. That's the only positive thing I have to say about this shit, but it is, I'll admit, really clever. Godzilla appears with no rational explanation for how he came into existence or why he's just popping up now. And he appears to... The first 2 pages are these 2 children. And they're put into a negative light simply for the purpose of making us not feel so bad when they are purposefully slaughtered on page 3 in the most implausible way I can possibly think of, being accidentally swallowed by Godzilla. Oh, it doesn't explain where he comes from. It doesn't explain why he exists or why he's only coming about now. But at least it's just Godzilla getting hit with missiles. That's kind of what it's about. And at least it focuses on one monster and the idea of the modern world reacting to the existence of a giant monster. At least it focuses in on that. without any explanation as to how, why, no reason, no logic, just there's a giant reptile, and because we threw a nuke at him, suddenly he's larger and is able to breathe fire. You just roll with that. Okay, I was willing to roll with that. At least shit was blowing up. So we've got the father of the two kids who were killed in the first issue. He tries to avenge their deaths by strapping bombs to himself and blowing himself up to try and kill Godzilla. Gives him a mild nose itch. Because serious death and serious drama is funny when it's ironically futile. Right? Not only do we have to accept the idea that a giant monster exists, not only are we supposed to just roll with that, but now they're trying to shove two new kaiju in our face as quickly as possible to justify spending money on getting licensing rights to them. So, shoved in our faces in the second issue, not only do we have to accept the idea that Godzilla exists, but suddenly we also have to accept the existence of Anguirus and fucking Rodan. We focus on this young brat who finds Rodan's egg, okay? And we make him an unlikable little bastard from the start, with an unlikable mom, because caricatures are funny, I guess. And we have Rodan get introduced to us by him swallowing the kid whole. Look at this now. Yeah, he eats the kid's pet lizard, and then he proceeds to eat the fucking kid on this panel. See? See that little lump in his neck? That's the kid. Not only are the monsters barely fucking in this comic, the monsters are barely talked about in any serious light. They're barely... There's no introspection. There's no philosophizing. There's no social commentary on the existence of monsters. Just the social commentary on social caricatures and stereotypes and how they react to monsters. We've got this great political satire on the Mexican border. Fucking Mexican border. And how this Bush stereotype is trying to build a 10-foot fucking wall between America and Mexico so that Mexican immigrants can't come through. And suddenly, hilariously, Anguirus destroys it. And then, on the next panel, he bitches about how it's somehow the Obama administration's fault when it's clearly not. Oh no! Those silly right-wingers. But in my personal feelings on politics aside, what the fuck does the Mexican-American border have to do with Godzilla? I mean, yeah, there's a place for social commentary in Godzilla. This sure as hell ain't it. This is about as subtle as a fucking Mauser. And it's not thought out. I mean, these are absolute blatant stereotypes. It's not saying anything that hasn't been said before, and it has no real reason for saying it. There is no reason for having a Bush stand-in. There's no reason for having an Obama stand-in. And the things that the caricatures are saying are not funny. It's then again for some politically satirical dark humor angle that isn't funny. The points it makes aren't new. They aren't thought out well. The characters aren't presented to us in any serious light. This is some of their dialogue, okay? This is President Ogden's fault. If he had fully funded my border wall, we wouldn't have been using such faulty materials. He's a literally liver monster communist, I tell you. There is no reason for them to write these stereotypical caricatures. And then, we come to this. Do you see this? Do you see this cover? You see this cover? Where Godzilla is fighting both Rodan and Anguirus at the same time? You better believe that doesn't happen in this comic. Nothing like this happens in the comic. We essentially forget Godzilla entirely, instead focusing in on this. Not only are we supposed to just run with the idea that giant monsters exist, not only are we supposed to just run with the idea that giant monsters exist and appear in hordes, but that we're not even supposed to really be thinking about them or how the world is dealing with them. We're supposed to be dealing with stereotypical caricatures of well-known public figures and how they react to them in comedically ironic ways. Here's Godzilla's obligatory appearance in the comic. He somehow appears on the Korean border and steps on North Korea's border post. And the South Koreans are just like, take that! What's the fucking point? I guess on some level it's funny, but not really. It's not saying anything about Korea. It's not saying anything about the state of Korea. It's not saying anything about Godzilla. It's just there to waste our fucking time. But then we get to the piece de resistance. We get to Lady Yaya. Lady Yaya. And yes, she is a very poorly written stand-in for Lady Gaga. And no, it's not saying anything. Not really. I mean, yeah, it's saying, oh, she's eccentric and she's not as deep as the media says she is, and she's not as thought-provocative as the media says she is. She's just being weird to get attention. And it says it in the most ridiculous, blunt, jackhammer ways possible. Like, oh, and it makes fun of PETA. Well, as you know, I'm passionately involved with MEALS, an organization that promotes monster equality and living standards. These majestic animals deserve every right to life that humans do. How dare the government attack them with weapons of mass destruction? But Lady Yaya, what about those in Texas who are being trampled this very minute by the creature the International Science Team has dubbed Anguirus? Why do you weep for the antelope when the lion feeds? Look, it's horrible what's happening to those people, but that's nature. For the greater good, Texas should be destroyed. Because that's what Lady Gaga would say in real life. Right? You have to put some thought into what you're saying and why you're saying it. This has neither. Stay on topic! Talk about Godzilla! Talk about war! Talk about natural disasters! Don't talk about Lady fucking Gaga! And if you're gonna talk about Lady Gaga, make an actual statement and present it to us in a way that we will take it seriously, so that we'll actually listen to what you have to say. If you're not gonna do that, then don't waste our fucking time! Because this shit ain't funny! I respect anybody who tries to mount a defense for this because they love Godzilla and they want to defend things that have the Godzilla name attached to them, because Lord knows that attracts enough flack in of itself. Don't defend this tripe! We deserve better. These are bad comics! They are poorly written and they are a slap in the face! Zipper.